Hey everyone, welcome back to Next Rung Radio, where we help you step into your power one rung at a time. And look, today's guest is amazing. At only 20 years old, today he has already climbed rungs that most would consider impossible. From winning world championships to finishing in the top 10 on this show, the NBC's America Ninja Warrior. His journey has taken him across 34 states, 4 countries. And beyond competing, he inspires the next generation through coaching, building, and giving back to his community. So, guys, please help me welcome to the show today my friend, Elijah, the Boss Ninja. What's up, dude?
What up, man? Thank you so much for having me. That was a great intro right there.
Hey, we do a good job around here, maybe. I don't know.
I know. I like the sound of that. I was like, oh, sounds good.
How you been?
Good, man. Good. Getting busy. We're getting ready for the next season of American Ninja Warrior. It gets crazy around this time of year.
I bet it does, man. So it's the fall of the year. It's a beautiful time of the year to start that stuff. Right?
It is, man. Yeah, we usually film September, October, which is like perfect in Vegas overnight. So the weather's pretty perfect as long as we don't get crazy windstorms and stuff. And just kind of go to town.
So you're not from Vegas. Where you live?
I live in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh,
absolutely love it here. Born and raised.
Born and raised.
Yeah. Don't think I'll ever move anywhere else. I love it here.
That's pretty unusual.
I know.
Most times it's transients coming here. People from somewhere else. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
No, born and raised, love it here. I've seen this town grow up, and it's cool because I feel like it's just kept growing while I've grown. I'm 20 years old now, and so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we came here in the 80s, man, so I've been here a long time.
Wow.
We've had our businesses here since 86 right here on Nolensville Road, so.
That's amazing.
I've seen a lot of changes in Nashville.
You've seen it all. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's right. Yeah, so hey, let's talk about you for a second, man. At 20 years old, you're still trying to figure. Most people, let me say it this way, most people at 20 years old, they're still trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Which way's up and what they're going to do. But you've been training and competing for over a decade now. For real.
Yep. For real, man. That's me.
Yeah, when I was 20, I didn't know which way was up.
Yeah.
So let's get to the point. What first inspired you to take this journey? And let's say what keeps you climbing, literally, what keeps you climbing when things get difficult, when things are tough?
For sure. Well, starting off, most things that are worth it are tough, and there's all of that. And so, it starts back my journey. I was 5 years old watching some TV with my parents, and I stumbled across this TV show, American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, oh, this looks fun. We should watch this, whatever. And I was instantly hooked, man. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. All these guys, basically back then, they were calling it like the world's toughest obstacle course. Mm-hmm. No one's ever won. If you do win, you win $1 million. And that's that, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. I was like, no one's ever won this thing? Like, that sounds awesome, So already I was starting my life off like, no one's ever done it? All right, cool, let's go for it, And so 5 years old, loved that, watched the show for the next couple of years and kind of would just climb on trees or talk about Ninja Warrior. I was obsessed with it, absolutely loved it. And so probably around when I was 8 years old, my grandpa was a builder his entire life. So he started helping me build Ninja Warrior obstacles like down at his farm.
No kidding.
And so I'd go down there every single weekend. We'd build a new obstacle every single weekend and I'd get to train on it. And so like first weekend, we'd have one obstacle and I'd try all day to get through it. Maybe would, maybe wouldn't. Next week we'd build another one and we kind of just pieced together this course over time. And I would just run this course, man. Anything I saw on the show, I was like, do you think we could build this? Do you think we could do whatever? And so really was just trying to harness my skills. Something cool is like when I was 8 years old, before I started building these obstacles, I couldn't do monkey bars. I couldn't do a pull-up. I was pretty unathletic.
Yeah.
And so, I really started from like ground zero, like couldn't even support my body weight with my arms, And so it was funny. Like I would be at school talking about Ninja Warrior and all these kids, like we'd set up a little course because I was always instigating things and starting things. And I think every single kid would beat me. Like even an overweight kid would probably beat me on the monkey bars, And it was so sad because I would be the one putting this on, like a little 10 obstacle, like people would be running and I'd get dead last. Like, are you kidding me? And everyone's like, this kid's going to be on the show. Absolutely not. So I like telling that story though, because I literally started from nothing and I just had a dream that I would be on Ninja Warrior one day, and I just loved it. So once I started building obstacles with my grandpa, though, that really started to take off because I was in control then of how much I trained. So literally from when I got there at like 10 a.m. till like dark, I was training on these obstacles. My hands were bleeding. I didn't care. I was still just going at it, and I loved it. And so when I was 10 years old, then I started competing outside of the show. There was leagues that started to pop up, and I was actually one of the first kids to ever compete in those leagues.
Really?
And I started doing all right in those. Got second at my first ever competition, which was a great confidence booster. And then The finals for that was later that year. I got second in that as well for the entire country, which was pretty awesome for my age group. And so after that, I was like absolutely hooked, you know, I mean, and one thing leads to another. And then you just keep grinding at it, because there's been so many times within my career, like even before I was on the show, where I'd be, 10, 11, 12 years old, working hard every single day. I started building obstacles at my house so that I'd have the ability to train every single day.
Yeah.
And people would be like, yo, don't you just want to go play football? Don't you want to do something else? Like at the time, Ninja Warrior wouldn't even let you on the show until you were 21. And so I was 10 years old thinking I would be training for 11 years from now to be on this show. And I was like, nah, like I just want to be a Ninja Warrior and that's it. And to be honest, I didn't actually even I loved competing in the leagues outside the show, but what I ultimately wanted was just to be on Ninja Warrior. Like that was my goal in life, was to be on the show. And so I was just working at it, I wasn't really distracted by any other sports or anything. I mean, I played like flag football and stuff, but nothing like that. And then, cool enough, I ended up winning the world championships outside the show and kind of got just better and better at it. And then in February of 2020, I get a random phone call. I'm 15 years old, sitting in my living room, and it's Matt Eisman, one of the announcers for American Ninja Warrior.
Wow.
And he's like, Elijah, how do you feel about competing on American Ninja Warrior this year? And I like about fell over. I was like, are you serious? Like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, like in 3 months you're coming out. We're going to send you to St. Louis for one of the rounds and you're going to compete. And I was like, dude, this is insane. So they called 10 teen boys, 10 teen girls. We were going to be like extras. I mean, real competitors, but on the show, basically. It was the first thing they'd ever done. But if you know, in March of 2020, that's when COVID hit.
Oh, yeah.
And so I literally get a call a month later saying like, hey, Elijah, you and the other 19 teens are uncast from Ninja Warrior. Like we're nixing y'all. We're nixing a bunch of everyone. We're going to do a condensed season in St. Louis, and none of y'all are going to be on now. And they were like, it was funny because they weren't really like, oh, we'll make sure we get you next year. They were like, this is kind of a one-time thing we were going to try. We probably won't do it next year. Like, see you in a few years, kind of was what they were saying. And I was like, man, that is brutal. And I know there was some hard days in there too, because I'm like stuck in my house, I mean, I'm still building obstacles and stuff, but I'm like, dang, like I just got my dream handed to me and taken away. And, but then, God's cool and he did some amazing things. The next year I get called for the show. I go out there as a 16-year-old rookie, 400 athletes, end up placing 9th my first year. So top 10 finished first year out of 400, and the rest is kind of history. So,
dude, that's awesome, man.
That's my origin story right there.
Go back to 5 years old.
Yeah,
sitting there, saying, here's $1 million, and nobody's ever done that.
Yep.
I feel that way sometimes. I sit on think I could be this mountain man. You ever seen that show, Mountain Man?
Yeah. I actually have.
Except I'm sitting on my couch with a temperature.
Yeah, you're like, I can do that.
I can do that, man. Yeah. Hey, baby, turn the temperature down. It's a little warm in here. Oh man. So you've had near misses on national stages.
Yeah.
That now that you've made it to this point where we are now, and personal disappointments, setbacks, right in front of millions of people.
For sure.
So what's the biggest lesson that you can tell these guys? What's the biggest lesson you've learned about resilience, especially when the whole world's watching?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I think for me, when you love to do something, you kind of can tune out all of the negative a lot easier, right? So I can tune out the fact that 10 million people are going to watch me succeed or fail. Like I don't even think about that. You can tune out that all of the NBC execs are right beside you when you run, and there's like 50 cameras everywhere, and like everyone important in like the TV industry is like right there, and like just watching how you're like every move. I think I just genuinely love competing, and I love running those courses. But yeah, I mean, I've had plenty of ups and downs. So like my first year, I get 9th out of 400 people. I get pretty close to the end of the entire show to win the $1 million. And so I was feeling amazing, right? The next year I trained as hard as I possibly could. I literally gave myself like tendonitis in my biceps and forearms because I was just training as hard as I possibly could for that year. Because I genuinely felt like I was going to win. And I go out my second year super confident and end up going out in semifinals, don't even make it to the Vegas finals to compete. And that was a real low moment in my life. I'm going to be honest, at 17 years old, thinking you're going to win the whole show, and then you make a little mistake and that's it. I didn't really know what to do because I felt like at that time Ninja Warrior was my entire life. I was like, I'm out, and so that sucks, And so I really then, what's funny at 17 was like, all right, I'm going to put some effort into some other things. So then I really started focusing on business. Building up my coaching business, building up my sports card business. There's a bunch of different things. I just love entrepreneurship and stuff. Started focusing on all of that. And so I think what's important though is I needed that time to reflect on that, like Ninja Warrior is not my identity. It's something I get to do that's really cool. So that was a big lesson learned. And then I think the other thing is if you have like an ultimate goal, say like a kid's like 5 years old, loves football, wants to be in the NFL, or like you want to be an F1 driver, or whatever it might be,
Right.
or you want to be like this incredible entrepreneur, make a ton of money, like whatever it might be. Your journey is going to be completely like up and down, but you just hope that over time you're consistently like moving up. It's like when you first start working out at the gym, you feel so weak. And actually like 3 weeks in, you feel weaker than when you even started, right? Because your body's breaking down and you're feeling fatigued and everything like that. I was talking to my brother about that because he got called for Ninja Warrior and we've been training super hard together. And he's like, dude, I feel worse than a month ago. And I'm like, no, trust, dude. Like a month from now, you're going to feel amazing, you know, and different things like that. So you're going to feel worse like a month after putting your like body through all this different stuff and you have to keep pushing, but then you look a year back, 2 years back, 3 years back, and you see like how far you've actually come. So I think the big thing for me was not getting caught up in like, oh, this workout was good or bad.
Yeah.
You really just focus on like the big picture. Like I hit a workout today. I hit a workout every day. That's the important part, is actually getting in there and doing the thing. So same thing with business, right? It's like some days you might lose a ton of money and that's just business, right? And it's very different than working a 9 to 5 because you know X, Y, and Z is guaranteed. And the market can shift on you when you own a business and all these different things or investments or whatever it is. And you just know that like you keep studying it, you keep getting better even when you do lose money. And I think you learn a lot more from failing than winning. It sucks. That's, you know, I mean, it's not, that's what people don't talk about, you know, sometimes on a podcast, it's easy to sit here and be like, man, like, yeah, you learn so much more from losing anyway, but it's like, no, that sucks. Like you feel terrible anytime you lose money. You know, there was I put on a competition earlier this year. It was a huge success, got tens of millions of views, was awesome. But net on paper, I lost like over 10 grand. You know, and so it's like, it's cool, but I put all of my heart and soul into that for 2 months and I still lost 10 grand, you know? And so like, that's, it's great. It's a win. Everyone loved it, but it's still like a loss on paper. And so that hurts, you know, when you do something like that. I mean, it hurts, but you learn a lot from it. And I know that I'll make that back in tenfold at some point from what I learned from that experience.
Absolutely.
You know? So, yeah, just keep at it. You have a goal, you have a dream, just keep doing it. Don't let anyone tell you can't. Because I'm just like living proof. You can go from the absolute bottom in the schoolyard losing to being on top of the world.
Ralphie,
you know? Exactly, right? I mean, like, it's a bunch of girls were beating me, you know, getting through the monkey bars like it was nothing. So,
so did I hear you say sports cars?
Sports cards. So yeah, I'll talk about this. This is kind of fun. So I was 14 years old, and I loved Ninja Warrior. That was all I thought about. But I tell people now, like, I feel like God just implanted in my brain, like I was going to be on Ninja Warrior and I was going to be an entrepreneur. Those two, like I've always just grown up believing that and knowing that. But when I was 14 years old, I met this guy, Lou, and his son was doing Ninja. And so he wanted me to help coach his son in Ninja. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And he was really into like Tom Brady cards. So he was using it as like an investment vehicle. And I didn't even really know what that was at the time, but I loved Tom Brady because he just knew how to win, you know, and I really looked up to him as a sports icon, you know, and so Tom Brady was always my guy. And so I just went over to his house one time and started looking at his Brady collection. He would casually drop like, oh yeah, that one's 50K. Oh, that one's 250K. And he just had this huge box of them. And I was like, dude, this is insane. You know, probably $1 million in cards at the time. He was talking to me about like how much he paid for them, what they're worth now, this and that. I was like, dude, I have to like do this. This is amazing. And he's like, oh, well, why don't you come work for me? You'll train Christian. You can work for me with cards. I'll like employ you at $13 an hour and you can just scan all these cards in. And I was like, sounds good. And what's funny is like, I literally just saw it as like a job. I saw it as like, oh, I'm literally scanning these cards in, whatever. I didn't realize at the time, and he's so good. He was teaching me like the whole card business the whole time I was over there, right? Because just him talking to me, I was learning the knowledge and everything like that. And so very gracefully, he was like, hey, Elijah, like, I don't really need you for that anymore, but you made all this money all summer and I'll keep you employed training Christian. And I was like, cool. Didn't tell me like anything, like go do your own thing. But I was like, well, I have all this money now and I kind of know the sports card business. Like I'm going to start buying some cards and see what I can do. And so from age 14 to 16, I was just like building up my card inventory, kept flipping cards. And that was during COVID as well. And the card market just skyrocketed in COVID. So I was buying some sports cards for $1,000, flipping them for $5,000 in a couple months. Like it was crazy work. And had I been smarter then, I would have gone way more all in because what I would do is if I made that money, I would like keep it. I'd just be like, oh, I'll invest the $1,000 back in, you know. But had I had that knowledge now, I would have gone $5,000 right back into them and kept growing it. But yeah, I mean, I grew it enough to where I bought like a 2015 Mustang GT as my first car, which was really cool. And I was trading sports cards like under my table at school, you know, to try to like. And then my mom always loves telling the story. One time I was in school And I calculated like how much all of the teachers at the school made that day.
Yeah.
And then I tried to make more that day than they all made combined. And I did it. So it took me a couple weeks, but I finally did it. I traded one card, had to make one deal happen, and it was pretty awesome. So fun little story there.
I love that mindset, man.
Yeah,
that's
man.
That's the way you get to the top.
Yeah, it was fun. It was
When you
really
saturate your mental with your emotional on a decision that you've made, just the way you got to Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's just always been, it's been like the discipline and the love of like learning and growing has been just a common theme in my life. And I think that's why I'm sitting here today, you know.
That's exactly right. And it sounds to me like your track of training, thinking is that, what can I do? There's a problem to solve. How can I make money? How can I make it happen? How can I change these things?
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah.
That's it. I love that, man.
It's been
awesome.
fun. Yeah. I want freedom, so money is freedom. And
Absolutely.
as long as you control that, you're good. And so investment's been a fun way to do it too.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I've been on both sides of the track, and I sure like it on this side a whole lot.
Yeah, man, I do too. Let me tell you. I do too.
You're not only an athlete, you're a coach for kids also, like you just said, and you build rigs with your papa. Y'all still do that, I guess. Yeah. And so you give back with your hands when building these rigs and your merchandising. So why is it important? Why is pouring into others just as important to you as chasing your dreams?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
There's been so many incredible mentors in my life who have poured into me, and really that's the reason I'm sitting here today. Like if I would have never met Lou, I would have never gotten into sports cards, never would have been able to learn about investments the way I did all that at such a young age, you know? I still think I would have figured it out, but just not as quickly. And so there's been so many amazing mentors in my life. And when it comes to coaching kids, like I just love Ninja. And there's a ton of kids out there that are so much more talented than me at my age.
Yeah.
And so I know that by the time they're my age, they're just going to be extraordinarily better than me, and it's going to be unreal. Like some of the things these kids are doing are unreal, and I could have never imagined doing that. Like they're maybe things I learned like 3 years ago, but since I learned it, I taught them, and now they're just incredible at it. So their rate of learning is so quick, and kids are just super cool because all they get to think about is Ninja. They hate school. They're just like whatever. They only focus on Ninja, and it's cool to like have a 10-year-old kid that only loves one thing and is just like fully focused on being the best at that thing. And so I love coaching all of my kids. I have a team that I coach. I coach normal classes, but then I also have a competition team. There's 12 kids on that team. They all made it to Worlds this year. We had a couple podium finishes. They all placed. I think like 8 of them placed top 10 in their age groups and stuff like that in different leagues. They all killed it. And we're all chasing a win because I want one of them to get a win at some point, so it'll be cool. So that's been really good. It's been really fun. I love it more than anything right now. It's just so fun to coach. And it's been a good way to make some money, which is cool. And then building rigs, kind of the same thing, right? Like I always loved building. I've been building since I was 5 years old now with my grandpa, and so I have a big expertise in that. And so we've actually built out some pretty cool ninja courses before. We built out an entire gym, ninja gym inside of a gymnastics facility.
Really?
Me and my grandpa did last summer. So that was really cool to get that contract and stuff. And so, dude, there's just been a bunch of opportunities within, kind of using my show presence and different things and just building those into businesses as well as like merch and stuff. So that one's always been good. You go to some ninja events, sell some merch, sign some autographs. It's good stuff, man.
It is good stuff, man. So you mentioned one of the tricks that you had learned that you didn't know, but throughout the times you're teaching them.
Yeah.
What is there anything you can share?
It's all like ninja terminology, right? But they're just throwing huge moves, like when I was their age, I would barely be able to like support my weight with like one arm. I feel like they can like fly through the air like 10 feet and catch something one arm, they're that strong and that good. And their spatial and body awareness is unbelievable. Just because they think about it, if you start a kid at like 6 years old, and I've started them as young as like 3 before, we'll start like just hanging on a bar, start doing some balance. You start a kid at like 6 years old, there was like development stage. By the time he's like 10, he's still like a kid, but he is like an expert in like how his body moves, because he's just figured out like all the different ways to get through an obstacle and stuff. And so they're so strong. All of my students have like 6-packs. It's crazy. And they're all they haven't even gone through puberty yet. It's unbelievable. So they're just so strong, and it's really cool to see. So but they can do like warped wall, salmon ladder for people that at home know those obstacles. Salmon ladder is the one you hop up. Like I have 10-year-old kids that can do that.
No way.
Yeah, which is unreal to watch. And they do even more advanced stuff. Yeah.
So how tall is that warped wall?
I have one that's 15 and I have one that's 12. So I've gotten a 12-year-old kid up the 15 one, which is crazy. And then all the kids under 10 can get the 12 foot. So it's pretty sick. But
So
they
at
just keep
10
working
years
on it.
old, how old are you? 5 foot maybe?
It's a
I don't
great
know.
question.
Yeah.
Probably less. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was like 5 foot at I don't know, because I was always tall growing up. I was 5'7" when I was 13. I know that because I
Yeah.
was on American Ninja Warrior Junior one year, and I was 13, 5'7", and I
Yeah.
was tall. So yeah, they're probably shorter than
Yeah.
that. Probably
Yeah.
like in the 4s.
Running up a 15-foot wall.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
incredible,
it's
man.
nuts. Yeah, think about the leg power they have to make that happen.
Yeah. So like we do exercises and Mandy does them in singing and people do it in speaking.
Yeah.
So like you said, when you just do something and then they teach you the proper way to do it, it changes the whole way your body functions, right?
1000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so much of it is muscle memory too. So just the more times the more reps they get in, just the better they get at it too. And then, like you said, you kind of come up with all the tips and tricks. Like, there's just certain ways you have to train for different things too. So like, I just spent so much time researching like the body, the energy systems, what I would need for ninja, studying climbing, gymnastics, sports that were similar. Cause I've also like grown up in ninja. I'm like the first group of kids that kind of started with ninja and now are adults, but with like ninja bodies, because that's just how I've kind of grown up and stuff. And so, it's really, I think ninja's an incredible sport for kids because it builds all your upper body.
Yeah.
And kids don't really build their upper body till they start lifting when they're like late teenagers.
Right.
But this way they build it really early on. And just builds so much coordination. It's cool to see kids that love football, love basketball. They do ninja with me for a year, and all of a sudden their coaches come to me a year later and are like, "What have they been doing? Like they've gotten so much better. They're like the best kid on the team now." Wow. Yeah, it's nuts, and all they've been doing is ninja. So I mean, it's pretty incredible to watch, and I think it's going to be huge, especially on the racing. Like if you've seen any of the Ninja Warrior like side by side racing, I think that's the biggest.
Isn't that
I think
cool?
it's going to be incredible. Yeah. It's just fun to do, fun to watch, and it's incredible. Yeah.
So I read this article one time or saw it where the announcers was talking about, I guess somebody was asking same thing I'm going to ask you is about how do you put these different obstacles in each year? And what I understood them to say was like you and your papa would build one and go, let's do this. And you did it and it wasn't on a thing. So you'd send it in and go, hey, add this to the run. Add this to the thing. Is that how those things come about?
Yeah, 1000%. They have a bunch of different avenues. They had this obstacle design challenge, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So literally, I mean, they would get like napkin drawings sometimes that would literally be on the show a year later, which is so sick. And the fact that there's this company ATS that builds all the obstacles for the show, the fact that they have just the engineers and the craftsmen to be able to pull that off is incredible.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're like they would show me their original designs, and it's literally like some kid took like a napkin and just drew on it, and that's like the obstacle, quote unquote, and they actually made it come to life. It's insane. And then to that point, a bunch of the guys that work at ATS, a bunch of those like engineers and the builders for ATS were actually on Ninja Warrior like really early on. And so they just love ninja. They love the sport. They love coming up with new challenges and stuff. And then also, just like me and some of my friends, when we post stuff on social media, sometimes we'll create an obstacle just like for fun, or we'll run it in a course, and then we'll see it on the show like a year later, So they kind of use all avenues to bring obstacles onto the show, which is really cool and keeps it fun and like fresh and exciting and different stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I think it gives you an advantage as well, because you're like, oh, well, I'm the one that set that up. You
Right,
know?
yeah.
So like I know exactly how
Already know
that
how
one
to do
works.
that.
Yeah, exactly. So
why is it always, and I'm say always because I watch this a lot, but why is it always when they start off it's the step squat things that you jump side to side with?
You know, they have like the classics, they have the ones that they just love bringing back. They look good on TV, right? You see these guys. There's a million ways to like do the quad steps, right? You can one step them all, which is usually what I do. It's the fastest, most efficient way. You have some people like 3-step it when they're not as confident. You have some people like jump and grab it, and like turn around and then jump. I mean, there's a million different ways you can play it. And those obstacles are my favorite. Because if you're really good at ninja and you're confident in your abilities and skills, you'll get through it so much faster. Whereas someone that's not as experienced can still get through it, but a lot slower.
Right.
The obstacles I don't love a lot is where everyone does it the exact same way.
Yeah.
So if you're the best in the world or you're not very good at ninja, you have to do it the exact same way. And those aren't very fun in my opinion, because it's like everyone kind of gets the same play on it.
Yeah.
Which is like whatever. But I think all the courses with obstacles where you have those opportunities to kind of speed things up are way better.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah, I think that's why they start with it. And obviously like Warped Wall at the end is so iconic.
Yeah, that's right. Been there
beat
since the
that
first
wall,
show,
hit
man.
that buzzer, I mean, it's
Smoke
just,
comes out.
it's sick, man. It's such a great feeling,
So the one I like too is the one that everybody does the same when they run across a rolling barrel. I guess it's a tube, and then like, you got to be right on the money. When
spinning log, man,
Yeah.
those things are brutal. I mean, they're crazy. It's just funny, like, People watching it on TV, it doesn't look like it, but I mean, it's literally just these logs with like bearings on the side.
Yeah.
So as soon as you put your foot on it, it's either going to spin forward or backwards. So you have to land right on top. And when you jump, you almost have to go straight up
Yeah.
in a way, but also move forward. It's like, it's crazy. I think the things that we put our bodies through, it's just everyone that's really good at it makes it look easy.
Yeah.
And so everyone at home is like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
they
sitting
just
on the couch going, yeah, I can do that.
Exactly. All you got to do is run, right? And put your foot in the right place. That's easy, you know? And like people just don't understand like what all is going through our minds on those obstacles, you know, or what our body is actually doing, or like the torque or the power we need for certain moves, you know? It's just like you don't really understand that, you know?
You do not, man.
So
And look, when you
it's
get my
cool.
age, you can throw a hip just getting off of the couch.
I know, it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, shoot. Well, let's talk about your vision, man. It's
Yeah.
obvious that you've already achieved so much at such a young age. And looking forward, let's say, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? What do you want to build? And not just in Ninja, you know, I mean, we talked a little bit about that a while ago, but in life that can inspire people of all ages to keep climbing to the next rung, to the next thing. So, you know, people like me, I've done a lot of things through life. How do you inspire older people and younger people to move their body and make it work and just change in life and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, for sure, man. I would say first and foremost, there we go. I'd say if you have a dream or a goal or a vision and you just feel like that you were meant to do that, you have to pursue it. I think if you don't, you'll regret your whole life not doing it. Even if like you pursue it for 10 years and don't make any money at it, at least you went for it and you know. And I think that peace of mind, you'll be able to sleep so much better. I've run into so many like 40, 50, 60-year-olds that were like, oh, I was so passionate about X, Y, and Z, and I just never did it. I went like the safe route, the college, the job, the whatever.
Absolutely.
And they always regret it, you know? I've never met one person that was like, yeah, I like loved this thing and I never regret that I didn't go for it.
Right,
You know, like
yeah.
I've never met a single person that's ever said that. It's always been like, I wish I would have just tried, you know?
Just
And
try it.
so,
That's right.
just give it any amount of time, whatever it is, set like a year or two aside, whatever you feel like, and just full on pursue it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, I mean, some things just don't, right? I mean, I've been very fortunate to be able to turn what I've done into a business, but you got to think I don't get paid from American Ninja Warrior.
Right.
So I had to find ways to make that cash flow, you know? And
Right.
so sometimes it's not like I love being on the TV show, but I also have to find ways to fund my training and do different things. And so I figured that out, right? But it wasn't a direct, I'm just going to train really hard every single day and somehow magically I'm going to make money.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you'll figure that out though. You know, you'll just think, and if you become an expert at something, there's always going to be money to be made in it. Whether it's like directly for that thing or around it. And so I'd say if you have a dream, you just have to go for it. That's number one. Feel very passionately about that. Number two is, you know, when you love what you do, I think you can get through any obstacle, which is really cool. And Ninja Warrior is such a great metaphor for that, right? You're going through obstacles. Life is going to throw obstacles at you.
That's
Sometimes you feel really confident in it and you get your butt kicked. Sometimes you're like, I don't know if I can do that. And you do, and you surprise yourself. Like that's all very real life skills. And so just stick with it and keep pushing and you can get through all of that. And I think what's next for me basically is just keep building what I'm doing. You know, I'd love to potentially maybe open some gyms at some point. I'd love to keep pursuing social media and do those fun videos and different things like that. I'd love to keep building my team of ninja athletes. I'd love to maybe do an online business. I mean, it could literally be anything, you know. I could also just potentially make a ton of money and just do like stocks and crypto. Like I love that too, you know? So I really don't know what the exact next step is for me, but I just every single day wake up and I'm ready to attack the day, whether that be athletically or financially or whatever it may be. And then, I mean, for those that want to get into fitness and different things like that, I would say it's one of the best decisions you can make. So if you want to be on this earth a long time, you're going to have a body that can sustain it, you know?
Right.
And I mean, you could probably speak on that, you know, being 60 years old, you're in great shape. You look awesome. So, I mean, that's huge, you know, and definitely you don't want your body to give out.
You definitely don't want it to get out. It's the only one you got, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love your attitude. I love your outlook on life and what you do and how you do it. So, you know, we got a little more time here, but so what could you tell somebody that's 7 or 25, you know, that would change their trajectory? Because we talk about a lot of times here, there's thousands of people watching or listening, and there's somebody on the bottom rung.
Yeah.
You know, there's somebody with a self-image issue. What could you say to them to go, hey, man, you know, I was there. I've done it. This is what changed my life. Here's something that you can take take with you?
Yeah. If you're on the bottom rung, immediately just throw your ego aside. There's no ego.
Right.
And I think that's the way at the top too.
Mhm.
Because there's always someone better at something than you know, and so you
Always,
can
yeah.
always learn. And so I think being confident in yourself and what you're capable of is always good. But I think having a big ego at any stage in the game is probably not the best way to go about it. And so if you're at the bottom though, you've got to learn. You've got to just learn. So pour all your time into learning and trying to become an expert in something, because that's how you're really going to be able to leverage whatever skill set you have. And just become obsessed with learning. I mean, I am absolutely obsessed with learning. I love
Right.
it so much. And I think that has been where all of my big breakthroughs have come through, is not acting like I know everything and talking to people that are a lot smarter than me, and not feeling like I have to have all the answers and different things like that. And so just become obsessed with learning, work on that would be my advice. You know, obviously everyone's going to have their own path or whatever. And then just keep working at whatever it is you want to. You know, I mean, know that what I try to do really, and working out's just the metaphor that I use a lot because it's very real to me and I do it every single day. And so when you're in the gym, it's really easy to get caught up in PRs or like, what's my personal record? How can I improve it today? This and that.
Yeah.
The trick is if you go into the gym every single time and try to just PR, you're actually not going to get any better. So you have to put in a ton of like dirty reps, I like to call them, which are just reps that you're in there and they suck and you're pushing really hard and you're not feeling strong. You feel super weak most of the time and you're like pissed off because you're like, well, I know I can bench 300, but today I'm like repping 225, but I feel super weak doing it, and so on and so forth. But then over time, that's what compounds and makes you to be able to bench 315 or whatever it might be. So same thing in business, right? You're doing all the dirty reps. You're learning all the things you don't like. Like right now I'm learning accounting and I just hate it so much. Like I literally hate it. And it's not because I'm going to like do my own taxes, but it's because I just don't want to get screwed, you know, basically by any accountant or whatever. And so I'm doing the dirty reps in that right now. And I absolutely hate it. Like every time I have to work on it, I hate it. But I know in the long run, I'll be so glad that I did it.
You will.
And so you gotta put those dirty reps in life, man. It's tough, but
That's right.
you know, that's what it is.
You got to pay your dues, man.
Exactly.
You got to do the work. That's right. You got to do the work. I've been in that same position and same thing. And you know, especially being an entrepreneur, you know, I've done everything from around here to clean the toilets, to unload trucks, to, you know, everything that can be done, I've done it.
Right.
And for many years, I ran my companies by myself.
Wow.
And it was many years before I made it to where I got what I got now.
Right.
You know, but it came along with doing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
It came along with doing the reps, you know, doing the accounting, doing the cleaning, doing the sweeping, doing this.
Yeah.
You know?
And in those moments, you couldn't have an ego about it. You know, you couldn't be like, well, I'm a business owner. I shouldn't have to do this. You know, it's like, no, like I'm grinding it out and this is my dream and I want to be financially free one day and stuff. And so you have to put all the other things aside and really focus on that, you know, and
That's perfect.
clean the toilet with the best of them.
That's
you know?
right. Man. Clean it with a smile, baby.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Hey, we're about to wrap this thing up. Tell people how they can follow you, stay in contact with you, and all your information.
Yeah, for sure. Elijah the Boss on all socials. You can check me out. I do a ton of fun content, Ninja Warrior content, but then we also do like interview content and a ton of fun challenges. I did one where we did a series where I would just throw random objects at my roommate and he would try to guess what they are. So we do a bunch of different fun content. And then check out thebossninja.com for merch or info on any classes you might want. Any personal training we do online as well as in person. So definitely check that out and feel free to reach out to us on there. So yeah.
Dude, it's awesome. It's been amazing having you on here, man.
Thank you so much. I
love your
appreciate
energy and God bless you, man, and what you do in life, because I feel like his hands on you and it's going to change a lot of people's lives.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
No worries, man.
Excited.
Hey, guys, thanks for joining us today. And as always, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast so we can keep up with our latest interviews that we have and keep amazing young men like this coming to our show, man. We appreciate it. See you next time. And always remember, keep climbing.